Well, it started out, I had a nice horse that I haven't had a really nice one in a long time, and I felt like he was good enough to go down the road, so I called Blaine Lanaweaver up about what had been this time last year in mid-October. Wanted to know if he wanted to go to the winter rodeos, and which I hadn't qualified for San Antonio or Houston. I could just only go to the ones that weren't limited, and he said, yeah, he loved rope, so we went to the winter rodeos and we placed along and did pretty good. And his horse got hurt at the end of the winter there, and I was needing to do something different. And I asked Turtle what he was doing because I heard that Jet Johnson was going home. And so Turtle said, yeah, if Jet's going home, I'd love to rope. So ended up roping, and we placed along. I tell you what, we got a check or two every week that we roped at the rodeos, and it just clicked pretty good, and we made runs and won, and we had a little bad luck at some good rodeos, and we had a little bit of horse trouble. His sorrel horse got hurt a couple times this summer, and he pieced him back together, and we won on him, and then he got his bay horse back later on in the summer there, and he had a chip taken out of his hock, I believe is what it was, and got him back late summer, and we placed on him pretty good, and it come to the last couple weeks. We were watching the standings pretty close, and it was the last 3 holes was switching back and forth. You know, one week I'd be 14th, the next week I'm 17th, and then the next week I'm 14th, and it was pretty close for the last 6-7 weeks, and it was just flip-flopping and oh so close. And Turtle actually never was in the top 15 the whole year until the last week. He was coming into the last week, he was 16th, and he was $1,200 behind 15th, which was Nick Sartain. And Nick had 3 rodeos left, and Turtle had 7 rodeos that he could count. So we basically just went to every rodeo that we could, because we could count everything for him. And for me, I had rodeoed in the fall, trying to make the winter rodeos, that I had used up 8 more rodeos than Turtle had. So I couldn't count the last. Out of the last 8 or 9 rodeos, I counted 3 of them. You know, so I unofficialed 6 of them, which we placed at all 6 of them that we unofficialed. I think I had 6,500 unofficialed. And so the last week it started off in Kansas City, which was a rodeo that counted for me, and we had a barrier on that steer. We were 4-3, and we drove all night down to Turtle's house, and drove the next morning to New Braunfels. We went down there and roped, and we ended up winning New Braunfels, and drove back to Stephenville the next morning, and we had a little luck there, and we ended up winning Stephenville as well. Got on an airplane and flew out to Bakersfield, California that night, and we didn't do any good that night. And then we went to Poway the next evening and ended up placing 4th there. And after that, that pretty much cinched Turtle in. He was far enough ahead of Nick that Nick could win the last rodeo and still not get Turtle. So we knew Turtle was in. But in the Heelan, them guys were right there. I started the week off $82 ahead of Columbine on, and he had 1 more rodeo left. Dakota Kirkenslager was winning 2 rodeos, and it was flying up on me too. And Rich had 1 rodeo left at Kansas City, and he was up on Sunday afternoon. So coming into the last day, there's 3 healers behind me that they catch, they do good, they bum me out. But I've got 1 rodeo left at San Bernardino, so we're up at Kingman Sunday morning, and we end up winning 2nd at Kingman, which definitely made it where Turtle was in for sure. Of course, that was another rodeo that I couldn't count. So we're driving from Kingman back to San Bernardino, and the perfect Kansas City's at 2 o'clock Kansas City time, and of Colin and Nick are up in Oklahoma at 2 o'clock, and Dakota's up at Stephenville at 2 o'clock. So everybody's up before me, and we're in California, so we're 2 hours behind. So about 2 o'clock California time, the phone starts ringing, and we start hearing what everybody's done. And I don't remember who it was first, but no good. Nick missed at Oklahoma, so he stays $82 behind me. And Rich and Ty are over there in Kansas City, and lost his row, so they didn't win nothing, so he stayed behind me. And I think Dakota had a barrier in the leg or something, and so it ended up the last year we didn't have to catch, but that was a big relief that we didn't have our whole season on one steer, but it was looking like it was going to be. But it sure relieved a lot of pressure there to not have to catch the last year. But it was drama every day. Every day the standings would change every day, and it was anybody's ball game coming into last week. There was a lot of good guys. I mean, I've never seen so many world champions on the bubble. I don't think I've ever seen it. I mean, you got Nick and Colin, you got Rich, 8-time world champion. I'm running with Turtle. He's current world champion, and they're all three on the bubble. So that's pretty. I've been on the bubble before, but not with that many world champions, that caliber of guys. And Dakota's up and coming, great roper, and him and Spencer, just when they catch, they're gonna win. So, you know, it was pretty dramatic the last week, but it was pretty dramatic the last 6 weeks. So we were prepared for it. We've been watching the standings and paying attention. So it was quite interesting, but it was sure relieving that next Monday when it was all said and done, because it was pretty stressful. But it worked out good, and glad to be back rodeoing again, and it sure has been fun. And it's been fun roping with Turtle. He's a really good guy and fun to be around, and I just feel confident that we can win in a lot of different situations, every situation actually, and it's just been fun to get back in the swing of things and not be working for a living, just be able to rope and enjoy my friends, and it's been good. Glad to be back.